So good afternoon and welcome to Wellness Watch, another edition, and I'm really excited today. My name is Patti Friedman, for those that don't know me or haven't been here with us on the show. But today I have a special guest, a very good friend, Anne Greenwall, who has joined me today because we have started to really talk more and more about what we can do to help people improve their health, their well-being, and a little bit about Anne, going back of our relationship. We were just comparing stories and talking about we've known each other for 17 years in the fitness world, being instructors and colleagues for many of those 17 years, teaching aside each other, learning from each other, helping each other. But both have been in the industry for a really long time prior to that. So we bring a lot of good stuff together, and we will be telling you a little bit more later in the show about some of the stuff that we're building into. But I thought it would be great for the audience to meet Anne, learn more about her and some of her experience and her business gift, which is Greenwald Institute of Fitness Training. Transformation, yes, sorry about that. But I'm going to let her tell it a little bit about it. So Anne, thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you, Patti.
Welcome for being here.
Welcome everybody here, and thank you, Patti, for having me. So Patti and I, yes, we do go back a while, but even beyond that, and it's fun to make connections with people that you meet, and you always have conversations and try to find what you have in common. And one of the first things I discovered with you was Springfield College.
Right.
Coming in from my initial interview, whatever it was, I was just having conversations of where we went to school, and my father and my sister both went to Springfield College, so we have deep ties, and you know, working for different organizations of YMCA type of organizations of mind, body, spirit, and you know, so we had that wonderful connection that kind of goes deep into what healthcare and self-care is all about. So it was kind of our initial connection.
So
that was kind of fun.
The triangle.
The triangle.
Spirit, mind, and body.
And it keeps coming
full circle.
In full circle.
That goes full circle.
Triangle that comes full circle. Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my background is as a competitive athlete in swimming, and coming up through the ranks. I swam through college. I like to say I majored in swimming and minored in engineering, but I did. I
like that.
Exactly. I spent a lot more time in the pool than I did in my labs, but don't tell anybody that. And I got a undergraduate in electrical engineering because at the time that's kind of what had to be done with female engineers. But I really wanted to go into biomedical engineering. I wanted to go understand how the body moves, et cetera. I loved it through my swimming. I always analyzed how I swam, et cetera. More of a player coach, I guess, you know, from a young age.
And you still, I think it's important to know, you still are so involved with aqua.
Exactly. Yeah. And so swimming is kind of my passion. I understand the water, like, you know.
A mermaid.
Mermaid, exactly, like a mermaid. That's a great way to put it. I love that. And so got a graduate degree in from University of Vermont in biomedical engineering, and worked for orthopedic surgeons for many years. Sports medicine, studying knees and shoulders and understanding that. But then all the while, you know, had 2 boys, mom. But in graduate school, I was a gym rat. I still love to work out. And so what do you do to get a free membership? You become an instructor.
Funny how that works.
So that's exactly what motivated me to become an instructor, is free gym membership. I will not lie. But lo and behold, I really loved it. And I had a gift for it, I felt. You know, I could relate with my audience, and as I grew into it, and then as the kids grew up, became their coaches like you did with all of their sports. And my husband is a very sports-minded person. He has his own company in Lebanon, Simbex, dealing with a lot of sports products, but a lot of healthcare products, medical products. So we'll get back to that in a little bit. But moving through kind of the coaching, teaching, et cetera, I always came back to how the body moves. It was fascinating to me. Always taking continuing education courses, learning how to be not only a better instructor, how to deal better with clients, but understanding how the body moved, and as we age, how it moves. It changes, it absolutely changes, and our bodies have adapted to our lifestyle, and I'm saying this as a general population, you know, our population of sitting, our population of driving, so we're hunched over, a population of technology, et cetera. And so, you know, head tilt, so we move differently, and it's no wonder we have hip issues, low back pain, knee pain. You know, you're not born that way. We're kind of make ourselves be that way. And as
And it's starting at a younger age, too.
aggressive parents who want their children to walk before they crawl, they're not allowing the hips to develop, you know, all this funny stuff. And so, and we're putting people in shoes very quickly. And, you know, so we're just
We're rushing it.
We're rushing it, and we're not allowing our bodies. And then when you do that at a young age, you kind of pay the price at an older age. And so trying to maybe undo some of those dysfunctional patterns. And so that's what I look at. And so I was introduced into a modality called neurokinetic therapy a couple of years ago that just sparked every light on me. That it was my biomechanics background, it was my fitness coming all together in looking at how the body moves in patterns. Plus it was my engineering. I love patterns. You know, the way I teach swimming, all my swimmers at the aquatic center, you know, XY grid pattern, you know, we teach in swimming. It's fluid dynamics in the water, how the body moves through the water, the rotational properties. So I love thinking about things from physics point of view, and so that's kind of and breaking it down. And I get it that way, but I find that many people get it that way.
They're starting to more. I mean, and we've talked a little bit about
about
helping people understand, educating people to understand how and why, because oftentimes people will go into a class or some type of program and they just do whatever they're told without really understanding.
Correct.
And that is, I think, where we're both really interested in, is making sure people understand why you're doing the movement, what are the benefits, what, you know, what's going to come out of it.
That, to me, is kind of a number one critical. I completely agree with, and great point. It's, like I was describing to you yesterday, it's group exercise, not group injury. I don't want, you know, just to go in, get that high heart rate, get that, you know, HIIT system going on, like meaning high intensity interval training and crazy. The body breaks down, and that's not our purpose. We want to have our cells grow and be healthy, and the whole system has to work together.
And be able to continue.
And be able to continue and move on to that. And when, you know, we get diseases, we get injuries, we have to heal. And how do you heal? Breath, movement, good nutrition. You know, this is the key, has to come together and working together. And so that's what I love to do. That's what I love, to make an impact on people.
So so tell us a little bit more about the neurokinetic therapy. I mean,
absolutely.
I think it's really important for people to understand what exactly that is, because it's becoming more known, and I think people are going to start to see that more. So I think it would be great for the audience to understand.
It's a assessment tool modality that kind of a cross between massage therapy and physical therapy. It's called the missing link, because it works on how the motor control center of your brain sends messages to your body to move. And, you know, the human body is a miracle. It's amazing how it works and what our brain does to control things. In one sense, but on the other sense, it is fairly simple. I mean, we have a complicated web of muscles and tendons and ligaments and nerves and arteries and everything else to help us move, and to coordinate all of that, we get into bad habits and also injuries. You know, we are a society potentially of risk takers, or even just tripping injuries or anything, you know, and we're driving in these several ton vehicles and that crash sometimes. And so there's a lot of opportunity for injuries and accidents. And then your body gets used to moving one way, and then you have an injury, so you start limping, start compensating to get rid of pain, to move easier. But then you get used to that pattern. I was describing a little bit on how the body works. There's a GPS system, you know, like you plug into your phone or whatever, and it will send you on the most efficient route from A to B. You know, this is how this thing works. It kind of gives you some options sometimes, and you usually took the one that's the least mileage or the least amount of time, you know, most efficient route. And so you plug it in and you're driving and it tells you where to go. But then all of a sudden you want to maybe stop at the gas station, or you have to go to the bathroom, or, you know, something. So you go off course.
Right.
This poor thing is like rerouting. And
Turn around.
but then, oh, you want to go to this store a little bit beyond that. So again, it's like rerouting, and it will give you another way to get to your destination, which you take.
Eventually.
So, for example, you're going to your grandchildren's house, and you always love to stop at this store. So you're not going to go the most efficient way. You're just going to go stop at that store every time. So
Your body,
the body gets used to going that way. And then over time, this way is like, what about me? You know? This way is like, that's not really my job anymore. What about me? So another example that makes potentially a little bit more sense, our hips are used to being in this flexion mode. So legs are up. The femur bone comes up into the hip, and we're sitting. This is like we're sitting all day. And then we go to get up out of our seat, and we're kind of locked in this position, but our body wants to be upright to ambulate, to walk around. So what's going to take the slack? Our low back. Our low back goes into compression. It tries to arch, which is okay because we're all connected. And then you're kind of walking around. Oftentimes getting out of a chair, you're kind of stiff, walking around. But then you do that continuously over time. The low back says, white flag, I can't do it anymore. I'm done. And the glute that you've been sitting on that's sleeping, it's like, what?
Kind
you
of
need me to wake up? And so getting the muscles to work synergistically and antagonistically, meaning stuff needs to slow down, other stuff needs to speed up. Certain joints are created to be mobile joints. Certain joints are created to be stable joints. The hips and the shoulders are made to be mobile joints. We make them be stable joints. And so for folks who do yoga sometimes, the plank or the down dog, we're relying on our shoulders to be stable joints.
To support you.
And over time, those shoulders don't do it.
They don't want to hang out.
I have a yoga instructor that I absolutely adore. She just had rotator cuff surgery. I'm like, Oftentimes, we have core instability for a number of reasons. Women who've had C-sections or hernia operations or appendix or any kind of surgeries on the, cutting into the myofascial system. Any scar on the whole body, you fall, you have stitches, whatever, is a disruption of the myofascial system. And so again, the body wants to protect us. It wants to, hold on to that area and let it heal, but then the signals can't necessarily get through. And so oftentimes, if you massage a scar and really get it worked out, and then activate an area that maybe isn't working so well. And that's where someone like me comes in, that we can get that relationship understood for you with simple muscle testing technique. It's, we can do it seated, we can do it standing, laying down on a table. That's what I love about neurokinetic therapy. It looks at functional versus dysfunctional movement patterns and understands maybe what muscles are overworking and which are underworking, and tries to kind of reboot the system, so to speak, get that GPS back on track and working efficiently. And it's had amazing success in taking away pain. It's ridiculous how we hold on to tension, stress, etc. Shoulders are up like this half the time, or rounded forward. So the muscle right here near the armpit, if you even palpate in this area, sometimes it's more tender than you think it should be, and it's overworking.
Right.
And then muscles in the back are underworking. So again, getting the balance of how the muscles all work together, just to reduce pain.
Right. And I think it's important for the audience to understand that there are opposing muscle groups.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
So, when you're talking about one's underworking or one's overworking, and that's where people end up into a lot of problems in a movement or soreness or whatever, that's, you know, when you think the simple bicep and tricep kind of thing, you talked about your back and your chest and how those all kind of tie in. And a lot of times I don't think people realize that. And also with the low back, we talk about, you know, people don't realize just how the low back is attached to so much that happens in the hip and the core. And so when people say tight core, I got to work on my core, they shouldn't just be focusing on the front.
No, exactly, correct.
You got to think about all the way around. And I don't know if you
Very
want
much so.
to think
And
a little
the
bit about that.
Diaphragm, which does attach kind of below the lowest rib and comes around, and it helps inflate, deflate the lungs and help circulate oxygen into our system, is really probably the most important organ that we have. It helps massage all of our organs as we breathe properly. You need to develop intrinsic core stability by controlling where the diaphragm is. So breathing from the diaphragm or core area is probably the most important thing that people can understand. And most of us don't. We hold our breath, or, you know, there's fearful situations, fight or flight, the parasympathetic nerves that we're in most of the time. Any, you know, situation kind of gets us scared, and how are we going to hold our breath? That's the first thing that comes. And then when you're trying to function and walk around holding your breath up tight, this all gets crazy tight. And so learning how to breathe, to move properly, I think is a huge kind of motor control thing that will benefit aging probably more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, not only that, plus it's your circulation of oxygen into the system. So you know, you can have feel your legs and where you are in space and holding on to balance, and you know, it has a lot of ramifications. And if you just simply understand breathing, you can have a wonderful positive cascade of events that will help in health.
Probably it's singers and people that play instruments.
Absolutely.
You know, I laugh, Ralph Bowie, who's in one of my classes at the Dartmouth Aging Resource Center, we're always laughing, talking about people knowing how to breathe correctly. And people that are in bands or singers,
Natural. I know, it's wonderful.
Yeah, they probably have some of the strongest and the greatest ability to project breath, because
that's a great point, because we're going to be introducing the Valley Chords, which is opportunities for women, and there's men's groups, the North Country Chordsmen, wonderful opportunities to sing, to learn how to use your breath in a fun camaraderie, and you know, that's a win-win on my book.
Yeah,
so
and
I love that.
you know, I love to sing, but I know I don't do it right.
Right, exactly. So maybe learning and, you know, learning pitches and tunes. Plus, my father has had issues with tinnitus and ringing in his ears and the hardening of the cilia in the ears, and so he's becoming increasingly hard of hearing. And in a busy room, forget it. He can't hear anything. It's too much. And I was reading a research article where if you are in a singing group and you focus on one pitch and really train your brain to understand that pitch, it becomes much easier in a room full of people to have a conversation if you can learn to teach your brain this motor control situation.
Here we go again,
of learning to pick up a pitch. And it takes practice. Like everything we're doing takes practice, but it is possible to improve hearing, to improve movement patterns, thus improving health. You know, it's a wonderful positive
and
cascade.
balance.
That
I'm sure your dad,
and balance. Oh my gosh.
I
And
mean,
balance. And what he was doing, so it's not only auditory, he was playing with his eyes, like walking forward with your eyes to the right, or walking forward with your eyes to the left.
Without moving your head.
Or eyes forward and moving your head. That is hard to do. And he does it in a hallway, so, you know,
got the walls.
kind of got the walls, but it's amazing how your eyes give you balance feedback, you know, kind of depth perception, but practicing using the muscles around your eyes and keeping them active, again, a positive health benefit.
And how many people, you wouldn't even think about that, but it's
exactly.
such a big piece of it. And
Such a big piece of it.
It's, you know, it's something that we can probably learn so much more about perfect example. We'll have to do a follow-up, see how
Yes,
he's doing,
absolutely.
to make sure, all is good.
Training your body to react has been shown scientifically, believe it or not. It's a study that my husband Rick has been involved in. When you have that feeling of falling, training your hip flexor to react forward, to take the step, to having your ankle dorsiflexion come up so you can react and take the step. We practice it in the water quite a bit in a safe environment, so you're not really going to fall. If you fall, you get wet. But he also has a active step where it's a treadmill. You have a big harness, you're attached, you're walking on a treadmill, and it will perturbate the treadmill, but also have a block that comes around and basically
And it
trips
trips
you.
you.
And in just one session, that's a 30-minute session, the reduction in falls is significant.
Wow.
It's
Isn't that
amazing, the
crazy?
study. And so places that have that, there's several hospitals, several VA facilities that have it, several assisted living, or even retirement communities often have it. Physical therapy places have this big, huge treadmill that's called Active Step. And you can just do one session or maybe do twice a year. And several places are covered with insurance. And just giving that one practice, you're mentally, when you have that feeling of falling, you're safe, you're not really going to fall, but you train your motor control to have your hip flexor react and take the step.
Interesting.
And
Good
it's
stuff.
been incredible. So.
And we both work with senior populations a lot, and I think as we get older and heading towards that direction, how much more I've learned from the senior population to be able to help them, because a lot of it too, it's fear, but it's also building confidence.
Confidence, absolutely.
And feeling like they are stronger or have more balance or just feel like they know what to do in that situation.
In that situation,
So,
yeah. And even not necessarily anticipating a situation, but yes, anticipating a situation of maybe taking a wider stance.
Right.
Practicing ankle flexion so you can be ready for that. Even when you're standing at the kitchen counter, practicing standing on one
leg.
foot, the other foot, and feel kind of where body wants to go. Is it always wanting to roll to the right or to the left or something? That's going to also be an indication of potential muscle imbalance. Neurokinetic therapy coming back into play.
Right.
And so kind of, it's circling back, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of looking at where your particular imbalance might be.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's had a different life of whatever injuries. And so understanding and being aware of how your body moves and how you can anticipate and improve it and make it better.
Right.
So
And
that's the
also
idea.
taking it even a step further in the sense of the surroundings. A lot of folks in their living environment or their routine of where they might go, be familiar with where there might be something that could trip you, like a rug or a curb or things
Precisely.
that,
A cord or, anything.
a threshold, anything, so that, again, your body has got that message that I know I need to lift my foot higher or be conscious of what's going to be a potential fall
Correct.
creator or whatever. So, yeah. So a little bit, I think we should probably talk about Retreat Me Right. This is awesome, good stuff, but we also want to talk a little bit about a program that we are starting together and want to encourage folks to get involved with. So if you want to talk a little bit about it.
I'd love this. And where I believe both of us are coming from, certainly in our careers, in fitness, et cetera, really feeling a need to give back and make an impact. And it has to come through education, exactly what we've been talking about, being aware, helping people be confident, education. But it's hard to do it alone.
Right.
So you really need support system, accountability. Are you following this? Somebody looking at you, okay, moving a certain way, helping out potentially with diet or what you're eating or any type of helpful thing. And so that's where I think you and I both had that wonderful connection of needing to give back, wanting to give back, and creating an educational, supportive, fun environment to do it in. You know, because you're not going to do it if you have to go to school and, you know, sit there and try to learn something. It's not so fun, but making it in a fun environment to learn and become aware. And so that's where I felt we had to come together and give back, take action. Like what, you know, the world's a crazy place these days. How can we make it better
and
in
make
a good way?
People feel better about
people
themselves.
feel better about themselves. And so taking action. And this was my way, and I know it was your way, of taking action. This is what we're good at, and this is what we need to give back to everybody and help spread that word.
Right, and it's about being proactive and not reactive, which we've talked a lot about, that we really have a passion. Both of us come from the standpoint of helping people to look beyond their own boundaries, if you will. And how can someone improve their health instead of going to the doctor and finding out that they have something that they should have been dealing with? And so bringing people together to be in a supportive environment, women
kind of understand some of these symptoms. And because it does get overwhelming, and it's like, I can't get out of this rabbit hole. And how do I, you know, I've gained so much weight and I don't feel great, and I can't get the energy to get up and move and exercise, and I don't know what to do, and I can't remember what that person told me. And, you know, it does become overwhelming. And it becomes overwhelming even in a financial standpoint of like, oh, I can't pay for a gym membership or, you know, the right food, blah, 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 blah. But if you with a group of people that kind of help support that path and show you that, yeah, it really can be done. It doesn't have to be done in huge steps, but maybe a little change one week, a little change the next week. And lo and behold, after a year, you know, wow, oh, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, and it is. It's helping people have that aha moment.
That aha moment.
And
that's
saying,
incredible.
This is awesome. This is great.
I feel good. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So we're really excited to get these Retreat Me Right workshops and
I loved the name Retreat Me Right, you know, because it is about, we often help other people, but helping yourselves. And retreat is kind of a fun word of like a spa or something, but it's, I love the name, so.
Good.
Well done. Hope to have everybody join us.
Yeah, so there's more that we'll put information up on the screen about Retreat Me Right and some of the workshops that are coming up with dates and stuff. But you can certainly reach out to Ann Greenwell, and we'll put her information up as well, or myself if you want more information about the workshops that we'll be hosting and leading and motivating and cheering on and really having a good time with. But
And we're going to follow that up with a Finding Balance in an Ever-Changing Body, which is going to be more of a full day on a Sunday. We're bringing in medical professionals, healthcare professionals, body working professionals, to really go a little bit more in depth into some of the issues that are affecting people today.
Well, Ann, unfortunately, time has,
This is so
we
fun.
could
We could
probably
talk
keep
forever.
going. I know, right? And we probably will. We'll come back another time and
Thank
talk
you so
more.
much for having me.
But thanks for being on it. And folks, thank you for listening and being part of Wellness Watch. And again, reach out to us with any of the information that you see at the end of the show. And have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Good job.
High five.